All right, everybody. Hi, Patrick Gunnels here, candidate for Congress. I did a video announcing my candidacy, and I did the video largely with YouTubers recently disenfranchised by the YouTube boycott as my audience. And a lot of people who saw it said, well, I'm not a YouTube creator. I don't really know what you're talking about. So this video is for you. If you don't know what the YouTube boycott is about, then definitely listen in, because I'm going to give you a basic explanation, a little bit of background to the YouTube boycott. So I think most of you have probably noticed for a long time now that the mainstream press has been staggeringly biased to the left, just way, way biased to the left. But it's gotten much, much worse just recently. Actually, I would say, and I think you may have noticed this, but the election of Donald Trump put the mainstream press into absolute overdrive in how deeply they opposed the presidency of Donald Trump. Just complete and utter opposition at every turn, hysterical opposition at every turn. And it's not doing them any good, because they're driving audiences away by the millions. And there's already been something in its place that was ready to take up market share, and that's the alternative media. So the alternative media is heavily hosted on YouTube, really heavily. And I'm not even going to name any of the names, but if you go on YouTube and you look around, you're going to find just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of independent journalists doing the media's job for them. The media at this point is pretty much the public relations arm of the left. They don't really consider any other points of view. You do have Fox News, and they're kind of center-right leaning, but they're also kind of infested with this nannying, political correctness nonsense. Just a quick example, even from Fox. So actually, this was a long time ago, but some of you older people will remember that we had the shoe bomber, Richard Reed, a British guy, born in Britain, but he's of Arab descent. When the story came out that they had nabbed a dude who was trying to light a bomb from his shoe, the first thing that popped into my head was, well, what was his race? Maybe that makes me a racist, but that's what everybody else was thinking too. Was he a Muslim? Was the question that they wanted answered. Everybody wanted that answered. And all that even Fox would report was, he is a British man, his name is Richard Reed, and they wouldn't give us a picture of him. And when we finally saw him, he looked like, I don't know, well, he was definitely Muslim, of Muslim extraction. I know Islam is a religion, not a race, but he was of that ethnicity. And they have, kind of strung us along for weeks on the topic, or at least days, and it was ridiculous. But it was political correctness that prevented them from identifying the ethnicity of the perpetrator, because profiling is wrong. And so this kind of social justice warrior political correctness stuff permeates every single mainstream outlet, every single one of them. Social justice disease, I call it. Well, with the election of Donald Trump, that just went completely into overdrive. And so people have been moving to this alternative media and watching it in droves. They have been taking significant market share away from these YouTubers. That's what we call them. Independent content creators. They are people who make content to entertain, to inform. They run the gamut, but they're independent. And here's how they make money. YouTube runs ads on their page. This is one way that they can make money. YouTube runs ads on their page and gives them a cut of the revenue. All right, so what happened was very large advertisers went to YouTube and went to Google, who owns YouTube, and said, you are putting our ads on content that is extremist, hate speech, far right, racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobic. The standard ingredients for being a deplorable. So that's actually a fairly reasonable thing to say. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I would say it's their platform. They can do whatever they want with it. A few points on that, though. One, YouTube demonetized, that's the term they use, it means we don't find your content to be advertiser friendly, so we're not going to run our ads during your content, and you're not going to make any money off of it. So what that accomplished right off the bat was basically completely destroying the livelihoods of just tens of thousands of people at a stroke, instantaneously. I understand what it's like to have an enormous drop in expected revenue, especially when you're getting close to the end of a quarter. So that's a significant problem for YouTube. YouTube wasn't even profitable to begin with. That's another important fact. So YouTube engaged in a very knee-jerk response, and the knee-jerk response essentially just completely destroyed the livelihoods of tons and tons of people. So the question is not so much what they did. That's a matter of record. They have 100% demonetized the videos of all of these YouTube creators who depend on it for their livelihood. But the question is not, did they do it? The question is, why did this happen? And I would humbly offer the explanation that it wasn't because they regarded these things as racist and sexist. I don't even think they really believe that. Maybe they do. I don't know. But what they're actually demonetizing is stuff like content that says they're against mass immigration because they think it's damaging for the culture. They are against third wave feminism because they think rightly, in my opinion, that it is a man-hating, bullying, victimhood philosophy that arises out of Marxism. They don't like those things, and they're perfectly happy to tell you so. They're not racists, I can tell you that. Furthermore, there are YouTubers out there that they have completely demonetized who have absolutely no political content whatsoever. So a couple more points of information that are very important to note. There is an enormous community within the YouTubers, some of whom make an enormous amount of money, but their focus isn't politics. Their focus is sitting at a computer playing video games and commenting on it. And this is very, very popular among very young people. So we older folks who don't know about this culture, it's huge, okay? Enormous. As of 2014, the video gaming industry was a $90 billion industry. That's bigger than Hollywood. So it is a non-trivial proportion of our economy. And so these gaming YouTubers, the biggest one is named PewDiePie. I don't even remember his last name. He's a Swedish guy. His first name is Felix. And he's a funny guy, and he's amassed 54 million subscribers. The guy was netting from all of his advertisements something on the order of $4 million a year. The guy was getting quite wealthy doing it. One day, and this coincides right around the time that the mainstream media was hemorrhaging viewers to this independent media source, and there are lots of these sources on YouTube. And then PewDiePie suddenly gets called a Nazi. Why? Because he played some sort of prank. You can look it up. What he actually did was no big deal if you look at it in context. He was telling a joke, but it was used as an excuse by Disney, for example, to cut all ties with him. That was the opening salvo in this attempt to destroy the livelihoods or destroy the exposure of these alternative media sources. So this is why it's so important. Now, I know that there is the standard libertarian argument that says YouTube is a private company. Private companies have the right to conduct their business as they please. Never mind the fact that people of the left don't give two shits about that argument. They don't. They really don't. If you were to use that argument to discriminate in any way against a member of one of their left-wing protected classes or left-wing ideologues, if you were to do that, they would demand your head on a plate. And if you don't believe that, then you are fooling yourself. So first of all, it's just clear that the argument is completely disingenuous. But second, free speech, and this is very important to consider, free speech isn't just about whether or not the government steps in and uses coercion to abrogate your First Amendment rights. The ability to use a platform like YouTube, which is, for all intents and purposes, a monopoly. Google, for all intents and purposes, is a monopoly. If you really think about it, Google is the only search engine anybody goes to. It is a word, the word Google is synonymous with a web search. And watching videos online, YouTube is synonymous with that. Now, I'm not here to say that that monopoly was created coercively. Honestly, I haven't even looked into it that much. This may be the kind of event that breaks a monopoly very, very quickly. But if free speech, the real essence of free speech, is to be preserved, then that monopoly must be broken somehow. Now, there are alternative ways to get your searches. You don't have to get it from Google, and you can upload videos to other platforms. And we are moving towards a society in which connectivity is so robust and so plentiful that a centralized platform may not even be necessary anymore to have all of this video sharing available. And that'll be the true death of monopolies entirely. You will see monopolies start disappearing within the information world at that point. But it is a major, major issue of our time. It is a significant part of a movement that I'm going to make a few more videos about. But the significant issue is this culture of dogged identity politics, identitarianism, victim culture, which all arises out of cultural Marxism. These things have a stranglehold on our institutions, and they're killing those institutions. The people of the United States, people of this country, are very tired of it. They're sick and tired of being called racist, sexist, homophobes, bigots, Nazis. They're tired of it, and they're angry about it. That's why Trump won. Identitarianism, the backlash against it, caused Trump to win. So what you're seeing right now with the boycott of these large corporations who themselves, at their highest levels, are infested with these identity politics race baiters, or at least if they are not of that culture, they are completely cowed by it. And they have taken a huge, huge step in this culture war to try to destroy this movement against identity politics and against left-wing victim culture. As I continue to produce videos in this series, I'm going to explain exactly the genesis, the germination of that movement. So please subscribe to my channel, because I really want you to hear from a man who's not a millennial, because this movement largely arises out of Gamergate, which I'll do a totally different video about. But it arises out of an extremely youthful reaction against identity politics. So demonetizing these YouTube creators, huge problem for free speech. That's why I am running for office. It's very important that free speech in itself, not just freedom from coercion, but freedom from unfair competitive practices as well. I don't think that we need to take a coercive approach to that. I really think there are free market approaches that will allow us to prevent perfectly reasonable speakers from being aggressively demonetized, their livelihoods destroyed. I think there are legislative solutions to take care of that. Quick shout out to a YouTuber that I recently met, Semiagog, who made a very interesting point about the post office and how it's government run, and as a result, your privacy rights are protected within it because it has government oversight. So perhaps as a stopgap, maybe there will end up being some government alternative to a Twitter, to a Facebook, to a YouTube. I don't think that's going to be necessary, however. I really don't, because there are alternatives to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, Facebook is going to end up being the next MySpace if they keep up what they're doing. And they're doing the same garbage that YouTube is doing right now. They're they're blocking some of the most popular content producers, just taking their stuff off, oftentimes telling the user that it was a mistake, sorry, but doing everything they can to minimize the voices on the center right, the voices in favor of freedom, libertarian-leaning people, and they do it with the rather contemptible fig leaf that these people are racist. The word has been said so many times that it has entirely lost its meaning. So good job, guys, because there are actually real racists out there. And the next time you call a real racist a racist, nobody's going to believe you. So congratulations on that. But the most important thing is that we do start taking free speech seriously. We've been taking it for granted for generations because the left used to be the guys who wanted to protect your freedom to say anything you wanted. Not anymore. So that's why I'm running for office. That's why I'm making this YouTube series. Please like it if you like it, and subscribe it, share it, and I will talk to you the next time I make a video. Take care.